As you can tell from the video I did on Super Mario 64 being creepy, you can probably venture a guess and say I prefer my video games to be on the weird side of things at times. I like games that take chances, giving us unique gameplay and surprises that we wouldn't otherwise expect, especially in established franchises. Well, before Super Mario 64, there was Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins for the Game Boy. Another odd and very one-of-a-kind Mario games that will forever be ingrained in my mind as an experience like no other. I wouldn't say it's as creepy as 64, but it's definitely weird. Another aspect of this game that is kind of strange to me is it feels rather unappreciated. Now, how can that be, having sold 10 million copies? Well, I don't know, but you really don't hear this one talked about as much among all the others. Perhaps it's because it's a handheld game and Mario's most talked about titles are usually the ones on the home consoles. Well, I am here to definitely appreciate it here today, and I'm going to tell you why Super Mario Land 2 is so special. So the first thing that's so interesting about this game is that a lot of the familiar Mario tropes are absent, such as the fact that you're not rescuing Princess Peach, you're not fighting Bowser, there's no Luigi, Toad, even though his house is here for some odd reason. Hell, it doesn't even take place in the Mushroom Kingdom, but rather Mario Land. Even though the initial Mario Land did not take place in Mario Land, confused yet? Well, anyway, everything feels fresh and new in this game, and that's probably because Shigeru Miyamoto was busy with other endeavors and couldn't be on board for this project. So development of the game was headed by Gunpei Yokoi, the very man who designed the Game Boy, as opposed to the initial Super Mario Land. The original Mario Land started this handheld departure from familiar Mario tropes with no Bowser or Peach as well, but this time around the game looks a ton better, and probably the most glaring example of this is the sprite sizes. In Mario Land, everything was super tiny, even the plumber himself was pint-sized, and now everything is big and robust and highly detailed. I mean, this is probably one of the best looking Game Boy games ever, to be quite honest. Mario has 4 power-up options this time around, and that's becoming Super Mario by collecting the mushroom, Fire Mario by collecting the Fire Flower, Invincibility by collecting the Starman, and Bunny Mario by collecting the carrot. Yes, so to all those who thought Mario becoming a statue and later on a cat in this series was weird, you now can sprout a pair of bunny ears and use them to glide and slow your descent. I mean, what else would you possibly use bunny ears for? It's also interesting to note that a cool little detail to Mario has been added to distinguish his fire power by adding a feather, which I always thought was weird as a kid, because at this point the feather was synonymous with the cape from Super Mario World, but Mario is wearing it on his head like he's Chief J Strongbow or something. But since the Game Boy could only display 2 colors, this was a smart way to give the firepower a little cosmetic differentiation, because in the original Mario Land there was the Super Bowl power-up instead of the fire one. And the only way you could tell the difference between Super Mario and Super Bowl Mario was, well, by using the power-up. So just what the hell is going on in this oddball of a game? Well, the events of the first game lead into the second for some nice continuity. While Mario was away on his adventure, he had left his castle behind. And no, that's not Peach's castle, that's Mario's castle. How does Mario get a castle on a plumber's salary? Well, I guess it's due to all the coins this guy has collected over the years. Well, anyway, Mario's money embezzlement schemes aside, Mario's childhood rival, Wario, has taken over his castle and placed all the inhabitants of Mario Land under a spell, and now they have been programmed to attack Mario. This is kind of strange that the manual refers to the inhabitants as people. Well, some of these people are Goombas and Koopa Troopas, so take that for what it's worth. I guess they're traitors to Bowser, But there's tons of other crazy enemies that make their first and, well, last appearance, such as the Masked Ghoul, who is cosplaying as Jason and has a dagger protruding from its head. Wow, an actual Friday the 13th reference in a Mario game. This is rather surreal, to say the least. There's Dokanto, who is an ant with a fucking cannon attached to his head, and I think that's actually part of his anatomy. Well, you know what they say, ants can carry 20 times their own body weight, and since this ant is just as big as Mario, I guess it's more than capable of supporting a cannon on its noggin. And hey, how about the ever-creative named Bear and Shark? Wow guys, truly inspiring creative names. The sheer effort put forth developing these perfect names for these enemies is just excessive, to be honest. They should have really toned it down a bit, tryhards. Surprisingly, a lot of these enemies have very Japanese sounding names, such as Karakara, a Cyclops umbrella which is based on a spirit from Japanese mythology. All these enemies are found throughout Mario Land, and we have a pretty diverse and enormously creative world, or land here. There's 6 areas in all, with a boss to defeat and a golden coin to collect, hence the name of the game. And when you get all 6, you will be able to open the front door to your invaded castle. Now, the great thing about this game's progression is you can choose to play any of the 6 areas that you want. But during my playthrough, I went in a counterclockwise motion, and I really do like the map screen here. That lets you see the area you are about to enter, as well as the stage within. There was quite a bit of care put into this map screen, and one could make the argument that the layout is even more detailed than Super Mario World. It's that good. Each area except for one has a hidden exit, and unlike Super Mario World, there is no indication of which level it lies within. Plus, we have some tremendous music in these stages, especially 2 very creepy sounding pieces that I'll touch on in a bit. So let's check out the places you'll be visiting on your adventure. So you'll start off at the Toad House, and this level is very misleading to the rest of the game, because it appears to be a rather standard, fair Mario level, nothing at all crazy with just Goombas, Piranha Plants, and Koopa Troopas littering the landscape, so it's all your standard Mario enemies, but man do things ramp up from here. For the first full area of the game, we have the Tree Zone, which first appears to be a basic area in the game as well. Wait, did I just say zone? Wait, what? Yeah, when I'm telling you this is a strange Mario game, as you can clearly tell, I mean that in more ways than one. But anyway, Tree Zone has a pretty basic looking first level, but then drops you into a weird second level, which perfectly demonstrates the truly bizarre nature and design of this game when you enter into the tree itself, as you can jump along in tree sap and try to avoid cowfish hybrid monstrosities. And there's a beehive level, which is somewhere Mario has never journeyed before. And then there's this stage where you will ride on the heads of owls, acting as platforms and transportation. And then there's the boss, a giant bird by the name of Big Bird. No, not that one. And dear Lord, does he look psychotic. Look at those fucking eyes on him. Whoa. Then it's off to the Space Zone, and how do you get to the Space Zone, you ask? Well, that's quite simple, my good sir. You just ride a bubble that is snorted out of a hippopotamus statue. Yeah, see? Simple, right? Huh? How many bongs were in the Nintendo offices during development of this game? I mean, how much of the green stuff are we talking about here? Man, Mario sure is high up in the air here, ain't he? I mean, one of the Game Boy's 2 colors is green after all. But I digress. The music here is fantastic, and I know it's featured in a lot of other levels like a lot of the music in the game is, but I always associate this music with this particular level for some odd reason. And I have a great memory of a friend and I in school actually humming this tune together, saying how fun and wacky it sounded. It might sound cheesy, but that's part of the reason I love a game like this so much. The memories I still hold to this day, and remembering what joy the experience brought to me as a child. I sort of pity some of Generation Z and others who will never get the distinct pleasure of growing up and feeling so excited to play and even think about a game like this. Well, nostalgic daydreaming aside, you'll make your way to the Space Zone, and Mario will, well, be in space. And this is the shortest zone of them all, with only 3 stages, and that's including the secret stage, the first of which sees Mario on the moon, and thanks to the lack of gravity, can now jump super high. And the last stage is on a star, and how Mario can survive on the star is beyond me. I guess it's a flame retardant suit. Mario can now float in the air and stay there just like on the bubble stage, and this one can be pretty tricky with these star mazes, and I really like the design of this stage. And who's guarding the sacred golden coin but none other than the main antagonist of the first game, Tatanga. I think it's pretty funny how this guy was the main bad guy in the first game, and now he's just been relegated to just a regular boss. After this boss fight, he will disappear from the series and the Mario universe for good. Macro Zone is a bit like Giant Land in Super Mario Bros. 3, but the difference here is that instead of Mario being regular size and everything else being big, Mario is shrunk down and everything else is normal size. I always thought of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids whenever being in this area. Here you'll find the aforementioned ant with the cannon strapped to his head, among other variations of that enemy. I like the structure of these stages as it relates to the map screen. So you'll start off outside the house in the garden, then work your way through the fireplace, and then make your way into the library. I always thought it was a little freaky how when you find a 1-up heart, if you don't nab it right away, a witch will run on screen and try to run off with it. That's just so random. I guess it's supposed to be one of the characters from one of the books coming to life. The boss here has always been disappointing to me, being just a rat. Well, it's a rat with a drill on its nose, but it's still a very plainly designed enemy. I mean, I get it, it's a rat, so it's a common pest in a house, but rats are just so overdone in video games in general that it falls flat here. I think maybe a giant ant or even a cockroach would have sufficed better here, or better yet, a return of Mouser from Super Mario Bros. 2 would have been pretty cool. Pumpkin Zone. This is my favorite zone for sure, a Halloween horror-themed Mario level, which is something we've never seen before or since. And while many know that there are creepy aspects to the Mario franchise, this is the most intended. Now, I will say there's nothing that gets to the caliber of Big Boo's Haunt or Unagi, the eel proportions of creepy. The area does contain boos and those weird umbrella baddies, and these bizarre stationary heads that are constantly lapping at the air with their tongues for God knows what reason, these crazed looking cyclops, and these weird as hell flying noodles. There's even a lone vampire in one of the stages. The masked ghoul can also be found here, and this is just so surreal for a Mario game, based on what we saw before and what would come after. I don't think we'd ever get to this level of weirdness in another Mario game again. Plus a cemetery? I know we've always had ghosts in Mario games, but there's never been an actual cemetery in a Mario game, implying that people die in Mario Land, and we never saw this in the Mushroom Kingdom. But in Mario Land, that he rules over, it's implied that this is the place where the bodies of the dead are buried. Did Mario conquer this land, and this is where those who have been conquered lie? Shit, this is getting a bit too deep, but it is so weird to me nonetheless. The boss is a fitting witch, and that may seem a bit generic compared to a freaking one-eyed umbrella, but it works nonetheless. Plus, I need to talk about the music. Again, the 2 stage tracks used here are so memorable and awesome. Now, you'll hear this theme in the game's more creepier areas, and it's so unique and weird. And unlike any other Mario piece in this series, which is certainly a running theme for this game. Plus, we have this theme for the Haunted House, which is one of the few tracks that is used exclusively for a specific level. And it just so happens to be an upgraded version of the underground music used in Mario Land 1. You know something? I didn't even notice this until playing these 2 games back to back. My ears and mind just didn't make the connection, and I find that to be a bit odd, honestly. I can't believe I never noticed this before. Here's a comparison between the 2. Mario Zone. Well, of course, Mario Land had to have a giant robotic Mario built in his image, since he is a benevolent ruler, perhaps malevolent. I'm pretty sure Mario didn't build this himself. How much forced labor are we talking about here, Plumber Boy? I guess there's no labor laws in Mario Land. Well, how convenient. I always got a kick out of this area because I remember always looking at the balls in this stage and instantly identifying it with one of my favorite places in real life, and the host to one of my birthday parties as a kid, the Immortal Discovery Zone. If you haven't heard of it, look it up, and for those who have, your childhood was probably awesome. There's also this Lego themed stage too. Mario Zone is also home to the wonderfully uniquely named enemy bear who rides on the ball, which you can steal and commandeer for yourself. It's very odd to me that this is the only area in the game that does not contain a secret stage to find, especially since it's Mario's actual zone. So why did they leave this one out? And who do you fight at the end of all of this mechanical madness? None other than the 3 little pigs. And I really dig how their boss patterns seem to fit so well with their body shapes. Probably my favorite boss in the game, aside from Wario, of course. Turtle Zone. The way you entered this zone always freaked me out as a kid. The way the turtle just stretches out and swallows your Italian asshole, it was like Mamma fucking Mia. Plus, that chilling musical cue that sounds when he does it. I remember always plotting a course to Wario's castle the other way around the map screen just to avoid him snatching me up. The first stage feels very simplistic, but then we get to this very creative and fun to explore labyrinth-like submarine, which has a well-hidden secret exit, and this really awesome journey into the belly of a whale. We'll see rib bones, and what I would assume is Villy, and why does this thing have these stabbing blades coming out of it? Then we come face to face with Octopus. No, not the Octopus. His name is just Octopus. Great name, guys. Well, I guess we don't get too many octopuses in Mario since the bloopers are squids, so I guess it's original. Sort of? So now you'll have all 6 golden coins, and it's off to take your castle back from Wario. And boy oh boy, is this an upgrade in difficulty. Seriously, this stage is a bit of a hurdle to overcome, and it does require some rather precise timing and accuracy with jumps more than other Mario games, to be quite frank. Also, there are these floor traps where you can set off these fists if you step on the wrong brick, and if so, you're taking a hit. My advice is to come with the bunny power-up to navigate over a lot of this stuff, because it can be rather tasking, especially the skull platforms for instance, and you can definitely use the extra hit against these floating faces. Wario is not too bad of a boss, but he is rather fast and definitely harder than the other bosses, as you might expect. We also learn that Mario indeed has a throne and a statue erected to himself. Man, that's quite the narcissism you got there, Mario. Not only do you have an entire robot built in your image, but you need a freaking statue in your own throne room? Come to think of it, Wario redecorated everything in and outside the castle except for this one statue, and I find that rather peculiar. So after Wario is beat, the spell is broken and the castle returns to normal, and I absolutely love this little touch of how Wario throws his shoe at Mario after losing, just setting the tone perfectly for how his character would develop in the future. And from here, Wario would end up being featured in tons of games, and many of them being his own solo titles. So this game right here is a great example of how Mario can be so different, yet still so great. I never understood why Mario seems to be locked in this endless loop of similar stories with just a few deviations, because the Mario games, though always excellent in gameplay, always fail to excite me with their sense of exploring uncharted territory with Mario. Yes, they did do it in games like Odyssey and 64, but most other titles always seem to be some variation of Mario having to save the princess. Even in Odyssey, Mario fighting for himself here just felt right, and the element of so many different and weird enemies is refreshing even today to go back to, and maybe not so appreciated back in the day when the Mario series was still relatively young. But after 35 years of Mario, 6 golden coins still feels like an anomaly, and a rather tantalizing one if you've ever played it. It's certainly worth the adventure, especially if you're tired of the same old with Mario. Perhaps it is the simple fact that Miyamoto was absent from this project that the tropes weren't used so religiously, and that the freedom of creativity was able to flow more organically here. Whatever the case may be, this is one of my favorite Mario games of all time, and one of the most unique adventures I've ever taken in the video game world. So let me know what you guys think down below. Have you ever played this game before? And if so, what are your memories of Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins? And please subscribe if you haven't already. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up. If you fucking hated it, then hit the thumbs down. And I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.